He wanted to spend it with the baby, right?
Which was amazing, by the way.
Good, I'm sure. I'm sure. So sometimes things just happen, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So good. How is she doing?
She's finally plumping up. So she's starting
Nice.
to get those little cheeks and little fat legs.
Nice.
Doing good, thank you.
Good. Okay, so you guys made it back. That's good. We'll do a mindfulness Monday in just a few minutes, but I do want to put a doc in the chat, and that doc you can. It has a warm up problem on it. You can start whenever, and you can just write it on paper. Again, you don't have to do it electronically. It's up to you. But we'll talk about if people have questions about the semester or problems or whatever happened and those kind of things. Okay. So there's that doc in the chat. And I'm just going to wait a few more minutes because we should have more people arrive, right? And if you guys have questions for me, you can ask them out loud. You can put them in the chat, whatever you need to do. Did anyone do anything fun while they were on their extra break? Or were you just like, oh my goodness, like we need to get back because now I don't want to go back at all?
For me, I'm just excited to be back because I'm starting to forget some of the things we learned. So
I know. It seemed way longer than 2 weeks, right?
yeah, it did because I had like COVID symptoms, so I was off for like 10 days from work, and that felt forever. So
well, are you feeling better now? I hope.
yeah, I'm feeling a lot better now. It was just like a cold.
Good. Excellent. Hello, hello. So I'm going to put that doc in the chat again, just in case you didn't get it. It has a warm up on it. I'm going to wait a few more minutes and see if we get as many people here as we can before I do our Mindfulness Monday. Yeah, Ruki, you're not the only one who's having video trouble. Matt's having it too. So sometimes if there is like an update on your system, it forgets. So you can go to your system preferences and make sure you give Zoom approval to look at your camera. I don't know if anyone else has advice on how to do that.
Okay, let me check it.
I know, Tashina, you're definitely not alone to say you've forgotten some of what we learned. Today will be a good reminder of some of the things we've learned. So we'll be okay. And I'll kind of go over what the whole week will look like too. Okay. Oh, sorry, Ruki, I didn't mean to just send that to you. I meant to send that doc to everybody. This is just the same doc in case you just arrived. This is the doc we're going to use today. It has a warm up on it, and we are going to do a Mindfulness Monday activity. I was just going to give it a few more minutes and make sure we get as many people in here as possible. We're only missing 2, which means you guys must have figured out how to set your passwords again, right? Yay, that was a fun little problem, wasn't it? Yeah, what was even more fun as an employee was them saying, you still are supposed to work, but we know you can't access anything. So that was an interesting turn of events. But it was really weird because some of us had some access and others had no access. So it was crazy. It was all over the place. Did any of you have access over break? Like you didn't lose your access? Yeah, so it was interesting who had it and who did not. All right. I'll just give it a couple more minutes. If you guys have any questions for me, feel free to ask them. Well, we're, not even about math, like about anything, whatever. I worked over break, just in case you were wondering. Oh, I did go on my 10-mile hike. I don't know if you guys remember, I was supposed to. Do you remember that? So, in the first week, I only went on like a 7.2 or something mile hike, but then just last week, I went on a 10.4 mile hike. So there you go. Yeah, and it was nice because it was cloudy. I went on Tuesday of last week. I don't know if you remember that day, but it was cloudy. Yeah, so it was a nice day to go. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to go later this week because it's supposed to be like, what, 95 or some horrible death like that. Yeah, I'm not prepared yet. All right, so I put that doc in the chat, which has your warm up and then all the problems for today, if you want to work on those. We're going to do a Mindfulness Monday activity, okay? So, but I don't know if we should wait and go over the warm up first, because now I think everybody is all in the math. And then I'm going to do Mindfulness Monday, and you're not going to be mindful about Monday. You're just going to be doing the math. Am I right? Okay, I'm going to give you a few more minutes to work on the math, okay? And then after we go over this warm up, then we'll do a Mindfulness Monday. And in the meantime, I'm going to go let my dogs in. Okay, so I can still hear you, but I will be walking downstairs. So work on that warm up. It's about rock, paper, scissors. All right, good morning, good morning. You did. I'm going to put the doc in the chat that we're working on right now. We're doing the warm up. This is a flashback to expected value. Hopefully you remember you need to make a table. If you guys have an answer, you can privately chat me that answer, or you can, if you have a question, you can send me that question too. Some people are still trying to get their cameras working, logging back in, speakers working, those kind of things. Hi, V. Are your speakers working now?
Yes. Are you able to hear me?
Yep, perfect. Good.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yep. Hi, Matt. It worked, right?
Yep, I restarted it and it's like, oh, yep. So it's better now.
Perfect. Yay. Okay, I'm giving everybody just one more minute. And if you're not finished, it's totally fine.
Could I get the warm up again? My chat's gone blank.
You got it. Hold on one sec. All right. So welcome back. Yay. You made it back. That was a big step. So good. And we want to finish strong, right? So we want to make sure we finish this semester strong. I know it was hard after 2 weeks off, but you all need this class, right, to move on. So we don't want to lose that momentum that we had. Okay, so let's talk about this. Did anyone get an answer to this problem? Some of you are a little nervous to share, right? You're like, I have an answer, but I don't know if it's right. But that's okay. We don't care if it's right now. We just want to make sure you have an answer. Let's look at, hold on, I should be sharing my screen right now. Can you see it? Excellent. So how many of you remembered that we needed to make a table? Right? So we would have what would happen, and then we have outcome, and then we have probability, and then we have outcome times probability. Does that sound familiar? Okay. So we basically had 3 outcomes, or 3 things that can happen when we play rock, paper, scissors. What are those 3 things?
Win, lose, and tie.
Very nice. Win, lose, tie. Excellent. Now, what are the outcomes? That means like what happens in the game that they described here to you, and it's involving money. When we win, lose, or tie. Zevi, what do you think? What happens in that problem?
Would it be like you lose $1 if you win or tie, or if you lose or tie?
Okay, so let's go over it. So if we tie, we lose $1. I agree with that. If we tie, we lose $1. So right here, I'm going to put a negative $1. Okay. So what happens if we win the game? Annie, what happens if we win?
If you win, you get $3 from the other player.
Yeah, you get $3 if you win. And then if you lose, what happens? Zach, what happens if you lose?
If you lose, you it's minus $3. So you lose.
Very good. Yeah, you have to pay the other player $3. So does that make sense? Everybody okay with that? So that's really reading and making sense of the problem. So now let's talk probability. And this part we didn't talk about. And if you've never played rock, paper, scissors, you might not know what the probability of win, losing, or tying is. So when you play rock, paper, scissors, there's actually 3 ways you can win, 3 ways you can lose, and 3 ways you can tie, for a total of 9 outcomes. Okay. So if there's a total of 9 outcomes and 3 ways you win, 3 ways you lose, and 3 ways you tie, what would the probability be for you winning? Tashina?
It's gonna be 1/3 for all 3.
Very nice. It's going to be 1/3 for all 3. Any questions on where we got 1/3? Okay. So, and now in this last column, you just multiply these first 2 columns together. So $3 times 1/3. When you multiply $3 times 1/3, you get $1. Okay. When you multiply -$3 times 1/3, you get -$1. So now notice if that was the only thing that happened, like if we tied, nothing happened, like we didn't get, it was 0, right? Then it would be an expected value of 0, right? Because -$1 plus $1 would be 0. But they threw this in here that if we tie, we lose $1. Now what's interesting is they didn't say where that dollar went. Did that bother any of you? Yeah, like, is there someone mediating the game, or does it go into a big pile, right? Like, where did that lose $1 go? Because if each player loses $1, where do those dollars go? That bothered me. I don't know about you, but that bothers me. Brady,
I
what were
got-
you thinking?
I kind of just assumed that like someone is like hosting the game. Like, listen, if you beat me, I'll give you $3. But if we tie, you still got to give me $1. So like they still make a profit on it at least, no matter
Yeah,
what.
nice. So as the game host, you're making money. That's a good idea. I like that, Brady. I was like, why would I play this game then, right? If I'm playing with this person. I mean, I'm pretty good at rock, paper, scissors. I'm just saying. Okay. So on this last one, you're multiplying -$1 times 1/3, which is going to give you -1/3 of $1. Now, for expected value, we add all these up. So we take $1 plus -$1 plus -1/3 of $1. And if we rounded it to the nearest cent, what would you get?
I got a negative $1.32, but I wasn't getting $1 when I multiplied 3 times 1/3. I was getting 99 cents.
Oh, I bet you're doing something strange on your calculator. How are you doing your 1/3? Which calculator are you using?
Desmos 1/3 was converted into 33333
Okay, let me go
continuous.
to
So
Desmos.
so I rounded it to 0.33. No, when I do 1/3 and then just
Yeah.
convert it.
What is your calculator converting it, or you?
Desmo, when you typed in, you're having us do it before, you type in 1/3 and it converts it to, there you go.
Yeah, but then I want to multiply it by 3.
So, yes, so then I multiplied 0.33.
Oh, but you're rounding. As soon as you do that, you're
Oh,
rounding. Don't do
okay.
that. Let the calculator do all the work for you.
Gotcha.
Okay. So do you see, Tashina, how I did 1/3? But when it gave me that 0.33,
Mhm.
I just said multiply times 3 now, and it gives me that $1.
Gotcha.
Okay. Okay, so What did anyone else get for their final answer?
I got negative 33 cents.
Very nice. Negative 33 cents. Anyone confirm that you got that?
I got losing 33 cents too.
Excellent. Good. And so this is what it would look like, right? If I wrote it nicely, not by hand, right? So my expected value is I'm going to lose 33 cents on average playing this game. So is it a game you should play? Probably not, because you're going to lose. Now, is it a game you should host, like Brady said? Yeah, because then your expected value would be positive 33 cents, right, on average. Now, remember what that means. That doesn't mean you're going to make 33 cents, because that's not what is the outcome, right? But it means if you keep playing this over and over, on average, you would lose 33 cents. Okay, overall, that's what that means. Okay, any questions on that warm up? Some of you are like, wow, we learned this. I don't know when this was, but I think I was absent that day. Okay, so yeah, this was a long time ago, right? This was a table. Here's the good news. When you take your quiz on this, there's only one of these on the quiz. Okay, there's only one. And you get to fill in all these boxes. And each box you fill in counts for points. So if you were thinking about that when you were doing this, if you could fill out this and this, but then you just made a mistake over here on this far right, you're still going to get a lot of the problem correct. Okay? So I'm trying to help you through it to make sure you don't just lose all the points, because that would be sad. Okay. So no questions on this warm up. You're okay. Okay. Before we do Mindfulness Mondays, let's chat for a minute. So we had that extra week, that extended spring break, and I sent out announcements to you. I hope you read them. But one of the things is the semester is extended by 1 week. Did you see that? Okay. And now, what does that mean for us? And what does it mean for you and for your other classes? Each instructor can decide how to deal with that with their own class. So you might have some classes that still end the regular week, and you might have some classes that extend by a week. And your instructor might not know that yet. They might be waiting till everybody comes back today, because some instructors started a brand new class today, you know, and things like that. So what am I planning on doing? Truthfully, I have not decided yet. And the reason is I don't want to rush that very, very end part, because I think it's super important. But if we extend by 1 week, it will really only be 1 day that we're extending by, because that would be final exam week. So it would just be 1 day for 2 hours, and it would just be final presentation. Okay. So if anyone foresees that being a problem, please contact me. Like if you know you're already leaving town and you won't be in town Monday, I think it's the 17th. Let me look at my calendar. I think it's Monday, May 17th. If you already know you won't be in town that day, you need to contact me, okay, as soon as possible so we can make some plans. So just be prepared for different classes to have different decisions, right? Because every class is unique. Okay. Any questions on that? You guys are so quiet. Okay. That being said, I'm going to stop sharing this. I'm going to share a video, a Mindfulness Monday video. I think this is a really good one for you. It's just 2 minutes long, and it's important for us to kind of get back to where we're in our math mode, okay? And just think about how we can get through some of this, because some of you have had a rough go, right, with that extra week. I get it. Oh, pickles. I did it again. Hold on. Okay. Can you see a video on the screen? It didn't start yet. Okay, good.
Hey there, it's Sid from Ritualistic, and today's Mindful Monday. And so I wanted to carve some time out to share with you all a mindfulness tip. Today's mindfulness tip is going to center around the practice of gratitude. For me personally, if I'm feeling anxious or worried or stressed, if I'm able to take a moment out to just find a few things that I'm grateful for, it really helps with cultivating presence, grounding me back into the here and now. So I wanted to share that with you all. We'll begin just by finding a comfortable seated position, softening the shoulders away from the ears. Maybe you gently close the eyes. And find your breath, simply by noticing each time you inhale and each time you exhale. And then we'll bring our awareness to the hands, slowly closing the hands into fists. All right? And so our gratitude practice is going to be naming something that we're grateful for. And then each time you name something you're grateful for, slowly releasing a finger. All right? So we'll find 10 things at the end that you're grateful for. Okay? You can begin now. Maybe you close your eyes again, finding the breath. And then every time you name something that you're grateful for, releasing a finger. Taking your time. And as you near your 10th thing that you're grateful for, begin to notice the sensation of your open palms. Feeling a lightness that gratitude brings into your life. We'll take another full breath together. Thank you so much for joining me on Mindful Monday. I hope you found this tip helpful, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Until then, be well.
All right. I hope you liked something like that. For those of you that really need that, you get real anxious. I know I do. So it's nice to have something that you could do quickly. Probably don't do it when you're driving if you're going to close your eyes. That might be a little stressful, but I have been known to do it when I'm standing in line at a store because I might not be the most patient person. So there you go. So otherwise, so just remember, take care of yourself, right? You're really important. And I know with this extension on the semester, it can be stressful. Some of you were stressed out last week, like, do we really have class? Do we not have class? Do I have assignments? Am I going to fail now? What's happening, right? So be careful of all of those. Make sure you take care of yourself. All right. So this is what this week's going to look like. This week is going to look like, today we're doing PC4, which is a kind of a big section, okay? It covers 3 basic topics: independent events, conditional probability, and dependent events, all 3 of those. So we're going to spend today, tomorrow, and Wednesday on those topics, okay, working our way through them. Then on Thursday, we're going to review, okay, for a quiz that would be over PC1 through PC4, okay? And remember, I said there'd just be one expected value problem on there. Now, normally last time we took the quiz during class time. Well, since we lost a week there, instead of using class time for it, which we don't really need anyway because you're being monitored by the Respondus lockdown browser. You're going to do that quiz outside of class time. Okay. So we'll spend all Thursday reviewing, and then Thursday, right after class at like noon, that quiz will open for you. Okay. You don't have to take it right then. You can take it anytime from noon on Thursday until midnight on Friday. It needs to be completed. So if you know, oh, I'm after 4 days and my busy schedule, Thursdays aren't good for me, I'm just going to get up Friday morning and take it Friday morning. That's totally fine. You don't have to check in with me to take your quiz. Okay, so it'll just be open that whole time. So that's how we'll deal with the quiz for this time and probably for the rest of them, just because then we don't have to take up class time to do that. Okay, and then next week we'll start on PC5, and we'll have PC5, 6, and 7. I think there's 3 sections left. And then we'll take a quiz on just 5, 6, and 7. So we won't have one big test over all of this like we did with statistics. I think that was a little overwhelming. Okay, so we'll break it into these 2 pieces. Okay, any questions on what this week looks like or what's coming up? Okay, and know that your review is already open. Okay, so you can look at that. You can start on that whenever you want, because some of you are like, oh, what was PC 1 and 2? I got nothing. I don't remember, right? So that'll be a good way for you to remember PC 1 and PC 2 and get ready for the quiz. Okay, so you have that doc, and I don't think I'm sharing my screen, so I will. What we're going to talk about first are independent events. So independent, I hope, means what you think, like it's very natural for me. This word makes sense to me. If I have 2 events and they're independent, then it says, if the probability of event B occurring is the same whether or not event A happens or doesn't happen. So for example, when the outcome of one event does not affect the outcome of another event. So a great one for me on this is flipping a coin, right? If you take a coin and you flip a coin and it comes up heads, and then you're going to flip the coin again, does it matter what I got on that first toss of my coin, what I'm going to get on the second toss? No, those are called independent events. Whatever happened the first time doesn't affect what I'm going to get this time. Okay, so that's what independent means. Now, mathematically, how do we calculate the probabilities? Well, we know how to calculate the probability of one event, right? Like the probability of getting heads would be 1 out of 2, right? Or 1/2. But if I'm trying to calculate independent events where I want both of those things to occur. So for example, what's the probability I get heads on my first toss and the probability I get heads on my second toss? Well, what I do with those is I take each of those separate probabilities and I multiply them together. So for example, the probability of heads, I would do 1/2 times 1/2, and I would get 1/4. Okay. So, and this right here, this formula is actually on your formula sheet. And speaking of your formula sheet, I am going to put that in the chat too. So you know, so you have that when you get to some of the problems that we're going to do, because some of them refer to a deck of cards again. And I know that not all of you have the deck, know a deck of cards. So I want to make sure we have this formula sheet handy, and you will have access to this on the quiz as well. So I'm going to put that in the chat right now, and I'm going to show it to you so you can see it, just so you can kind of work your way. You're going to be like, did we ever see this before? Yikes, sorry. So there's the deck of cards at the top. This should look familiar, yeah? Okay, and then we talked about basic probability, and we talked about complements, and we talked about odds. Hopefully that's ringing a bell. That was PC1 and PC2. And then PC3 was the expected value one. And then this is where we are right now. Do you see where it says probability for independent events? And it says multiply those two together. That's what that dot in between it means. Okay, so that's where we are now. Okay. Okay. Good. Now, I gave you this worksheet already, so let's take a look. This should be the first problem after the warm-up. It says a six-sided die is rolled twice. That's how it's different than what we did before. Before, we would just be rolling it once. What's the probability of showing a 2 on the first roll and an odd number on the second roll? So we want the probability of a 2 and an odd. So those are independent events. Do we all agree that whatever I roll on the first one doesn't matter what I get on the second one? Okay, so we're going to take the probability of rolling a 2 and we're going to multiply it by the probability of an odd number. So how do I find the probability of rolling a 2 on a single six-sided die? What is it?
Are you wanting it in the chat?
I don't care. You can just say it if you want.
1/6.
Very nice. 1 out of 6. Does everybody understand that, right? Because there's 1, 2 on the dice and there's 6 total numbers. And then the probability of an odd, what would that be?
1/2.
1/2. Lee, you're absolutely right. Now, could I write 3 over 6 there instead of 1/2? Yeah, I could write 3 over 6 there. I'm not going to get it wrong. I might just have to do some simplifying, right? Okay, so this would be 1 over 12. Is everybody okay with that? And on your calculators, if you do it on your calculator, I can go over there and do it right here, maybe. One, 6 times 1/12. No, that's not what it was. Times 1/2. Oops. Oh well. There you go. And you get 0.0833, or you could write it as a fraction. That's what I love about Desmos. It's real easy, right? To go either way. You don't have to know a lot about fractions. It'll do it for you. So if we were writing our answer, we could write 1/12, which is approximately 0.0833, depending on how many decimal places I say to go to, right? Or it's 8.3%. And on the test, I'll tell you which one I want, right? I'll tell you if I want the fraction, the decimal, or the percent. Any questions on that problem? All right. So, and there I just have it worked out because on my slides, it's always worked out. Okay, here's the next problem. A couple has 3 children. What's the probability that all 3 are girls? Okay, now this is assuming that the probability of each gender is 1/2. Yes, the probability of a boy is 1/2, the probability of a girl is 1/2. And that these are independent events. Whatever I had as my first child doesn't have an effect on what I have as my second child. Okay, that's what this is talking about. So I'm going to say, what's the probability that I'm going to get a girl a girl, and a girl. Well, what's the probability that my first kid is a girl? 1/2, right? And it's going to be the same for each one of these. So it doesn't matter how many events I have, as long as they're independent, I'm going to multiply these together. So 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2. I should get 1/8, which is the same as 0.0, sorry, 0.125, which is 12.5%. So there's a 12.5% chance that you get 3 girls. Okay? Any questions on that? So if you can tell that these are independent events where the new outcome doesn't have anything to do with the old outcome, then you just multiply these probabilities together. So if you take a look at this worksheet, you have a couple more problems. Notice it says rolled 3 times, and this one says rolled twice. Then we go to a problem where it's talking about a drawer full of socks. Now, be careful. It's reading comprehension more than anything. It's not hard math. It's making sense of the problem. Then this one gives it to you a little bit different, number 1. Then down here on number 2 is where you have some cards. So that's where you might need that formula sheet. And the other thing I'm going to point out is, do you notice that it's a 12-sided die on this last problem? So don't get confused and skip that part. Okay? So what I'm going to want you to do now, and this will give you a chance to ask me questions individually and work your way through here. I'm going to put you guys in breakout rooms, and you're just going to work on this. If you finish, or when you finish, just call me in and I can check all your answers. And we can also, I can also answer any questions that might be about class or what's coming up or anything like that. Okay? Okay, so let me just get your room set. What's interesting is, by the way, just a side note, I did add 12 points to all your quiz grades. I hope you noticed that. And now you're like, oh, nice. Now my grade looks way better. So you're welcome. That was kind of what we talked about before break. And the other thing is, some of you have expressed, it's so funny because the reflection on statistics, it's most people said, I love the group work. And then some of you are like, oh, I hate the group work. Can I work by myself? So if you're one of those people who said, I really want to work by myself, please let me know that, in here. I can put you in your own breakout room. It's not a big deal. But when you're in your group, if you guys just want to make your own, there's usually only 2 of you in there, maybe 3 at the most. You can say, let's all do it separate, and then we'll just compare answers. That's also an option. Okay, so don't feel pressured like you have to, like, I'm going to do number 1, you do number 2, and then we'll share our work. That's not how it should be. Everybody should be doing every problem. Okay. Any questions on that? Okay. All right. I will come and visit you, but I'm going to give you a few minutes to get started. If you need my help, just click that, ask for help. Okay. All right, we'll go over these once I get everybody back. We still have about 15 more seconds before I have everyone. And Annie, did we lose? Wait, is Annie here? Annie, did we lose Brady?
I think so. He literally, when I was in the room, like literally right when you put the seconds to come back, like he went off. I don't know what happened.
Weird. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, welcome back. I know some of you finished, some of you are like, I almost finished. It's okay if you almost finished. And so no worries. So let's go over a couple of these. And then you can always review them in the slides as well. So let's do those board problems because that's where we stopped, I think. So the six-sided die is rolled 3 times. What's the probability to get an even number on all 3 rolls? A die is rolled twice. What's the probability of getting a 5? And then an even number. So is this what you got for those? Did you get 1/8 or 0.125 or 12.5% for the first one? And then the next one, did you get 1/12 or 0.083 and 8.3%? Everybody okay with that? Any questions on those? All right. Then we had this sock problem with the socks and the t-shirts, right? That was the next problem. And did you get 8/55 or 0.1455, depending on if you're rounding to the 4th decimal place, or 14.5%? How many of you got that one? A few of you. Excellent. Anyone need explanation on that one? Everybody see what I did was there were 4 out of the 5 pairs of socks that were white. So I took 4 out of 5 or 4/5. And then I multiplied it by 2 out of 11 because 2 of the t-shirts were white out of the 11 total t-shirts. Everybody okay? Any questions on that? All right, this one was a little bit tricky with the dogs, right? Because you didn't really have to do much other than interpret that, which was the hard part. So you had to take that 21%. You could have used 21/100, or you could use 0.21. But you need to multiply those two together. So you should have gotten 0.0441, which would be 4.4% if you went to 1 decimal place, or 441/10,000. Anyone have questions on that one? How many of you got that one right too? Anyone? Nice. If you made a mistake, do you understand why? Do you find your error? Okay, now these last ones are the ones with cards. And some of you might be struggling with these. And so, I don't know if you know Bert and Ernie, but I do. They're 2 of my faves, right? Okay, so Bert gets a jack and Ernie rolls a 5. So that's the probability of a jack and a 5. So we're going to find the probability of a jack, and then we're going to multiply it by the probability of a 5. So the probability of a jack is 4 out of 52. The probability of a 5 is 1 out of 12, because it's a 12-sided die, remember? How many of you are annoyed at yourself because even now that I reminded you, you're like, oh, she even told us that. Yeah. So you can simplify those. 4 out of 52 simplifies to 1/13 times 1/12, which would be 1 out of 156, which would simplify to 0.6%. Okay. All right. I'm going to stop there. I know there's more. My answers are in my slides, you know, so if you want to check your answers, you can check in those slides. You have a mini lesson due tonight, PC4 mini lesson due tonight, okay? And you have PC4 practice. It's not due tonight, but you should start on it, okay? But definitely do the mini lesson, okay? And then remember, you can start on your probability review. It's already posted. It's up there for you. So you can start on that. I know some of you are like, oh, I need to review like PC1, PC2, right? And PC3. That's totally fine. There's your exit ticket in the chat. It says you can enter a simplified fraction, a decimal, or a percent. Don't enter in all of them because then it'll mark you wrong, right? Just pick one of those, enter in one of those, and it'll mark it right as long as you rounded to the right place in your rounding. Okay, I'm going to hang out here. I just wanted to make sure you had enough time to finish that exit ticket. Great job today. Great job coming back and getting back online. And I look forward to finishing out the semester with you. And otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow. When you're done with your exit ticket, you can leave. Great job, guys. Let me know if you need anything.